What's up, everyone? Night 3. Noche de tres. That's probably not correct. Syntax. Espanol syntax. But anyway, I'm sorry I'm a little late, but I went out to liability. I am a few deep. So I apologize for that, but I think I'm keeping myself together quite well. Because they had a very nice fresh wet hop IPA that I absolutely had to try. And it turns out they had another collab, which was a West Coast Pilsner, which I also saw and instantly wanted to try. And then I had one more after that. So there were two collabs from Liability that I absolutely needed to try, and I hung out for a little while. So I apologize. This live's a little later than I intended it to be, but that's okay because it is still Pumpkin Beer Live Week, and we are continuing this into night 3. If you remember this Pumpkin Beer Live Week, not totally sure what kind of step it's gone off to because we started off with the OG, the absolute OG, Southern Tier's Pumpkin, which the first time I had it was many moons ago, and I absolutely adored it. It was perfect. It had the spiced rim, and everything just hit it. It slapped. And having it now, I don't know, a decade or so later, something about it just didn't quite hit with me. It didn't taste remotely the same as how I remembered it. So that got this live week off to a little bit of a interesting, unfulfilling start. And then I had the one last night, which was, from Evil Twin, the Titans Evil Twin. So I was very much expecting something spectacular from that. And it was a good beer. And I did not realize that it was an IPA. And it was a very good IPA. It was a pretty solid milkshake IPA. But when it said milkshake IPA with pumpkin spices, and I don't get any pumpkin out of it, I didn't know. That kind of tainted my expectations of the beer. So hopefully on night three, we're gonna get this gimmicky week of lives off to a much better back on track. I shouldn't say off to a much better start because we already started. We're halfway through, but hopefully we'll get it back on track. And we are going with a local product. Obviously, Southern Tier and Evil Twin are not local products. Incidentally, they're both out of New York. One pretty established and one, well received within the craft community, but probably not even at Evil Twin stature. I don't know how well received it is on a broad national non-beer person level. But we are going to go very local on this one. And a brewery that my beer review brethren had quite fond memories of due to their experiences during the 2025 Brewtubers Get Together, and that is Fireforge Crafted Beer. So that is what we're going with on night 3 of Pumpkin Beer Live, and it's got a pretty amazing name. I know the light's probably interfering with that, but the spice is right. And I'll show you on the side to prove to you it is from Fireforge. The spice is right. Very much price is right. Font and text on that. Imperial Pumpkin Ale with spices, because I did not realize this. It is a whopping 8%. Have you ever had an 8% Imperial Pumpkin Ale? Now, I guess technically Pumpkin is also an Imperial Pumpkin Ale. But that's a little more widely distributed. So I don't know if it necessarily they try to punch it the same. Brewed and filled at Fireforge LLC, Greenville, South Carolina. Fireforge.beer at Fireforge Beer. All of this can be yours if the spice is right. This ale has our magical blend of pumpkin, maple syrup, vanilla beans, cinnamon sticks, ginger, clove, allspice, and nutmeg. Hey, nutmeg! We're patient with how the spices evolve in the fermenter. We wait until the spice is right. And craft malt, independent craft beer, keep refrigerated, drink this little pumpy ale fresh. There is no date, but I mean, I bought this not too long after they were promoting it for the season, so I'm pretty sure it's quite fine as far as freshness is concerned. Like I said, 8% on the nose. I'll give you one more look at the can before we should clip this bad boy. And I'll try to get you some audio, some ASMR on the pop, on the shaklook, I should say. Whoop, there's a. I got a little sploogey on that one. All right. As you can see, I am keeping, and this time I actually remember to do it ahead of time. I am keeping the tradition strong with rimming the glass. And you probably noticed it's some of the spices actually fell off the rim and are now at the bottom. So this is going to get an extra little boost from the spices I put in. So I'll give a glory shot to the pour. The spice is right. So, well, I don't want to necessarily say it was a mistake last night because it obviously didn't affect the beer that much. But I want to avoid kind of getting all the spices from the rim going into the head and over influencing the beer too much. Color wise, it is very, very dark. I will hold it up to the light. I mean, with benefit of the lamp, it kind of has more of an orange, light amber tone to it. But otherwise, it is that kind of dark orange, almost brown color. The head's an off-white color. There is some spices getting in there. So yeah, I do want to be careful with topping it off because I don't want the spices to be, as I take a sip of the beer, not necessarily getting in there before they're welcome. They're always welcome, but you know what I mean. If you know, you know. So, boom. Pretty, like I said, that orangish, almost brown, darkish tone. What you'd expect for a pumpkin beer, right? You're expecting it to be a darker hue because if it was like the one last night, where it was that kind of hazy, traditionally hazy color, and it wound up just tasting like a hazy. So that obviously did not execute well, and this one is back to the color we expect from this type of beer. The spices are a bit more stronger on this rim. I will say the aroma is very comparable to the Evil Twin beer last night. It's very, 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 very subtle. I am getting a little bit of a sweet potato, pumpkin note. It's pretty light. There's a little bit of a citrusy essence that accents it, that accentuates it. But I do notice a very much of a kind of creamy pumpkin pie type of essence to it. Let's get a little bit more in the glass, out of the can. And cheers. Let's take a sip. I do get some already. I'm gonna take a few sips off the rim just to mix up the spices, and so maybe I can get the third or the fourth sip with just the beer. I love the spices, and it's all about the gimmick, but we do actually like to judge the beer on the merits of the beer itself. It's got a nice lightish medium body. It's not so light that it's unnoticeable and practically water, but it's not so heavy that it's not past the realm of crushable either. This is very interesting to me. And I remember not loving this when I had it 4.5 years ago now. I like it a lot more now. So that could just be a difference of palate. And maybe I just kind of wasn't in the pumpkin realm, in the pumpkin vibe for it. That's also entirely possible. This does have a very bread-like, crusty pumpkin pie flavor. It's not necessarily that sweet, creamy pumpkin pie flavor, but it's kind of, if you were to, when, and I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but when you're eating pumpkin pie and you scoop out all the flesh, does anyone else do this? When you got a sliced pumpkin pie and you eat out all the flesh and you scrape the pumpkin flesh off of the crust. And then at the end, you kind of like cut off a piece of the crust and just eat the crust. That's what this tastes like. It tastes like the crust of a pumpkin pie with that little trace of the pumpkin flesh going across it. That's exactly what this tastes like. So, is it super overpowering and over the top pumpkin? No, it is not. But it still does taste like pumpkin pie. It does have that crusty, bready pumpkin pie type of flavor. And I always find it funny on Untappd, for example, when the category, the bucket they throw pumpkin beers in, it always says pumpkin/yam beer. To me, this kind of does have more of a flavor of a yam, a sweet potato, than it does a pumpkin. So it is kind of more on that lighter side. The pumpkin's not like super, super strong, but it is noticeable. It does, but because it's on the lighter side, to me, it shies more towards the yam, sweet potato, that type of essence. It is quite good, and it is pretty crushable still. I don't remember why I ranked it 3 3/4 4 years ago. I probably put it right back at 3 3/4, probably for a lot different reasons. So I think back then I was probably rating beers higher than they really should have been. So 3 3/4 back then from me was probably not very great. This one is, I think, 3 3/4 good, but in a much more neutral type of, worldly, so to speak, kind of interpretation. I'm going to take another sip with the spiced rim, though. It does go this is the type of pumpkin beer that you want with a spiced rim, because the spices really add something to it. The spices really accentuate the beer. So there's some pumpkin beers. To me, a pumpkin beer should stand on its own without any additive, without any extracurricular additives. Obviously, a beer is going to have additives. Craft beer is going to have additives in it. But I mean, as far as extracurricular stuff, spicing the rim, putting a wedge on, whatever the case may be, a beer should stand on its own without all that. And it's still fine without it. But this also is the type of beer that you really should drink with the spice rim, because the spices really bring out what Fireforge was intending with the beer, I think. Where, that yam, that sweet potato, that pumpkin flavor, it's there. It's pretty subtle. The spices just kind of really blasting, that sort of thing. So I'll sip the rest of the way around the rim where the spices are there. Yeah. Quite good. And if you pick up the spices right from Fireforge Crafted Beer, please do the little proper presentation and rim your glass. You will not regret it. You won't regret it anyway. It's still a solid, tasty, crushable beer. but the flavors are going to be so much better if you rim the glass. All right. I know we didn't get a lot of attention on the live tonight, but we'll be right back at it tomorrow. It'll probably be a little late-ish as well because I've got an HOA meeting. So it'll probably be a little, and of course we got the Sunday Scaries live because it is Thursday. So tomorrow night, I don't know what time we'll be live, but we will do the live one way or the other. And stay tuned and see what else I've got to pop open on Thursday as Pumpkin Live Week continues. As Paul from PA Brew News says, watch that finger. Boop. Boop. Bye.